Welcome guys, in this video we're going to see visibility concept in OOP PHP. We're going to see some examples as well as we will see how inheritance work in object-oriented programming. You can download the code as well, it is in the description. Welcome guys, so the concept of visibility in object-oriented programming is very important. We have three visibilities: public, private, and protected. So you can give any of your variables and functions these visibilities, and depending on the base of these visibility you can access that data. So one thing I want to tell you before proceeding, that you will be seeing functions referred as methods in object-oriented programming, as well as variables called as properties. So this is something that is quite similar. So if I say property, that means it's a variable, and method, that means it's a function. So here we have a property public, username, and name is Mark. So when you have a public property or a public function, that means you can access this function from anywhere you like. So I currently have this public property in this class, so we can use inside this class as well as we can use it outside this class. So for example, I have the bank A class here, I have the object created here. So if I want to print the username, I simply will say I'm going to copy this and here echo, and then I'm going to call the username straight away. So it's going to be just like this, and it is going to give us the username on the browser. Let's have a look. So I go to the browser and I refresh, we get the mark. Now in case of private, everything changes. So it is something when you want to restrict the usage of some particular property or function, you can provide private to that property or function. So for example, here we have private on age. So if I try to access it, age here, and I go to the browser and I refresh, we get an error that cannot access the private property. So you can take it this way, like we have some kind of application where we need some authorization, or we want to limit the use based on the position of people. So some people can access the data, but they have to go through some validations. So if we provide this as a private, we can use it inside this function. So for example, if I say here age, right, so this is a public function and we are using age. Now here, before returning or echoing out the age, we can put any kind of validation, so we can check if we want the user to see this value or not. So that kind of functionality we can implement using private, because directly if user tries to print the age, user won't be able to, as user getting the error that it cannot be accessible. So if I do this time and I go to here and try to print through function, as this function is public, we are going to get this age, because we can use private properties inside the class and this function is inside the class, and we are calling this function outside the class because it is public, so it should work. So let's see, I go to browser and I refresh and we get the number. So you can have the idea here, like if we have a bank A and we are using this application, so user might have some obviously going to have some savings, so we are going to say private and they're going to be $savings, right, and there are going to be some amount user has in his account, but we don't want that it is going to be displayed straight away. So generally when you go and open your mobile app or your internet banking, you use passwords and username, email, and then you see your balance details. So if we try to print this out straight away, it is going to give us error because it's private, but we can set a validation here, and validation will check, okay, if the password is provided, then return the age, or in this case return the savings. So if it is done, if the validation that we put here, just assuming right now, so if we put that validation and we get positive, then we are going to get the savings showing up. So I hope you got the understanding of it. So currently we are just displaying data to clear the point of private and public. Now I want to demonstrate the usage of protected as well. So there is a third one which is protected. So for that I create another variable. It's going to be protected, and I'm going to say here dollar email. Maybe it's going to be some user email. All right, so we cannot access protected variables or properties and methods outside the class. So in this case, if I try to access it here and do this, I put in here and I go to the browser, we're going to get the error, cannot access protected property. Now we can use the same way like we are doing here. So this refers to this current class, and we can get any property, even if it is a private or a protected, we can display it. But in case of protected, we have an option. So that option is this, that we can create a child class. Now here you need to watch it carefully. So for example, here we have this class bank A. We have four properties here and one function here. So to create a child class of this very class, what I'm going to say here class, and I will call it anything, any name you can give it to this class. Now to make it a child class, I say extends. Now this tells, okay, I want to be a child of this class, the name that we are going to provide, and here we can say bank A. So this is the class that we have on top. Now here, by doing this, you can see the syntax here. We are just saying class here, so you define class like this, and when you have a child class, you define like this. When you define a child class, you get all the properties and methods from parent class access to the child class. So here, for example, if I create a function or a method, so I will call public display email. All right, so this is, and I forgot to put function, so you need to put function here, public function display email. Now we are getting the access to these properties and methods, so I can call this. So here I'm going to say return $this, and this refers to this class, as it is having access to parent class. It's going to get the values, and I'm going to get the email. All right, so it is going to get the email for us and going to return this email. So we can create the object just like this that we did before, and we can display this. So let's do that. So what I do here, I create a new object. This time it is going to be bank, and here I say $bank is equal to this. Now here below it $bank display. Now here I'm just returning, so it is not going to display anything. So for displaying, we need to put echo here. All right, I'm going to comment this one out so that we only see the email. So let's see what happens. We go to the browser and I refresh the page, we get the email. So you need to try to understand this, that a child class is something where we can use protected property and method. So protected method is something that if you have a class, you give a property visibility protected, then that property can be used in that very class or in child class. So for example, if I do the same thing in saving here, I'm going to get the error. So let's see here. So we get a browser, refresh, it says undefined property. The reason is simple, because it is private, it is set to private, we cannot use it, and it is not getting the access to it. So protected and public we have the access to. So for public, you put here a username, we go to browser, we say refresh, we have mark. For email, which is protected, we can use it without any doubt, and we go here and refresh, we get email. But the private property is something that only can be used on the very same class. Now when we extend any class from the parent class, so this class is now called parent class and this is a child class, we inherit all the values, all the properties and functions, and this inheritance is called object-oriented concept inheritance. So perfect example here, we are creating a child class where we are inheriting all the values, all the methods and properties from the parent class. That's how inheritance work in object-oriented programming. Hope you got the understanding. If you have any confusion, you can leave a comment. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. And